The universe thought it knew the fate of humanity. It was wrong. Harry Morales' eyes snapped open, his mind reeling as consciousness flooded back after 500 years of cryogenic sleep. The harsh white light of the awakening chamber assaulted his senses, forcing him to squint as he struggled to orient himself. Something was off. The gentle hum of the HSS Odyssey's systems was replaced by an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional spark and crackle of malfunctioning equipment. As the chief engineer of the massive human colony ship, Harry's training kicked in despite his disorientation. He pushed himself up from the cryopod, his muscles protesting after centuries of disuse. The ship's AI should have guided him through the awakening process, but its absence was glaring. Harry stumbled to the nearest control panel, his fingers flying over the interface as he assessed the situation. The news wasn't good. The Odyssey had drifted far beyond its intended destination, deep into uncharted space. The ship's systems were failing, and the AI was completely offline. With a growing sense of urgency, Harry made a critical decision. He manually overrode the remaining cryopods, awakening a skeleton crew of 50 humans to help address the crisis. As the chosen few regained consciousness, Harry briefed them on their dire circumstances. The ship's long-range scanners had detected an alien space station nearby, a potential lifeline for the 10,000 colonists still in stasis. With time running out and systems failing, Harry assembled a small away team to investigate the station and seek help. The team's shuttle docked with the alien structure, its sleek design unlike anything in human records. As the airlock cycled, Harry steeled himself for first contact, hoping against hope that whoever they encountered would be willing to assist. The doors slid open, revealing a group of tall, slender beings with iridescent skin and large luminous eyes. The aliens, known as Rizians, regarded the humans with a mixture of shock and disbelief. Their leader, a diplomatic-looking individual named Zephyr, stepped forward, voice trembling as they spoke. "Impossible," Zephyr breathed, their multifaceted eyes wide with wonder. "Humans? But your species was wiped out centuries ago." Harry's mind reeled at the revelation. As Zephyr explained, according to Rizian history, humanity had fallen victim to a catastrophic event some 400 years prior. The universe they had awakened to was radically different from the one they had left behind. Tension filled the air as the Rizians debated among themselves. Some viewed the humans as a potential threat, a long-dead species suddenly resurrected. Others saw an opportunity for cultural exchange and scientific discovery. Harry, acutely aware of the precarious situation aboard the Odyssey, knew he had to navigate this delicate diplomatic minefield carefully. With the weight of 10,000 sleeping colonists on his shoulders, Harry addressed Zephyr directly. "We come in peace," he said, his voice steady despite the turmoil in his mind. "Our ship is failing, and we need help. In return, we offer our knowledge, our skills, and a chance to rewrite the history books." Zephyr considered Harry's words, their luminous eyes searching the human's face. After what seemed like an eternity, the Rizian diplomat nodded. "We will help you," Zephyr declared, "but know that your arrival changes everything. The universe as we know it will never be the same." As Harry and Zephyr shook hands, sealing their tentative alliance, the engineer couldn't help but feel a mix of relief and trepidation. They had found help, yes, but they had also awakened to a universe that had long since moved on without them. The challenges ahead were immense, but as Harry looked at his fellow humans, he saw determination in their eyes. They were explorers, pioneers, the last remnants of a species thought lost to time, and they were ready to reclaim their place among the stars. As the airlock of the Odyssey hissed open, Harry Morales and his team stepped back onto their ship, the weight of their newfound alliance with the Rizians heavy on their shoulders. The silence that greeted them was unnerving, broken only by the occasional spark from malfunctioning panels. "Status report," Harry barked, making his way to the nearest functioning console. His fingers flew over the interface, bringing up a holographic display of the ship's systems. Marcus Chen, his second-in-command, leaned in close, his brow furrowing as he analyzed the data. "Life support is critical, Harry. We've got less than 48 hours before it fails completely." Harry's face hardened. And the colonists? Still stable for now, but if we lose life support, Marcus trailed off, the implications clear. Then we work faster, Harry said, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at his gut. Wake up the engineering team. We need all hands on deck. As they worked tirelessly to stabilize the ship's core functions, a message came through from the Rizian space station. Zephyr's holographic form materialized before them, her iridescent skin shimmering even through the projection. Harry, I've convinced my superiors to send assistance, she said, her multifaceted eyes blinking rapidly. A team of our best engineers will be joining you shortly. Within the hour, a sleek Rizian shuttle docked with the Odyssey. Among the arriving engineers was Lyra, her tall, slender form graceful even in the bulky environment suit. As she removed her helmet, her luminous eyes met Harry's, and for a moment, he forgot to breathe. Chief Engineer Morales, Lyra said, her voice melodious. I'm Lyra, specialist in advanced power systems. Where do you need us? Harry snapped back to reality, gesturing towards the engine room. This way. We need to stabilize the main reactor before we lose life support entirely. As they worked side by side, human and Rizian technologies merging in ways never before imagined, Harry found himself stealing glances at Lyra. Her nimble fingers danced across alien interfaces, her brow furrowed in concentration. He couldn't help but admire her expertise and the determined set of her jaw. Fascinating, Lyra murmured, examining the Odyssey's propulsion system. It appears your ship encountered some sort of spatial anomaly. That's what threw you off course. Harry leaned in, his shoulder brushing against hers. Can you tell how far off course we are? Lyra's eyes widened. Based on these readings, you've traveled at least twice as far as your intended destination. It's remarkable your ship survived at all. As the hours ticked by, the combined efforts of the human and Rizian teams began to bear fruit. Life support stabilized, and the immediate crisis passed. But as one problem was solved, another emerged. Marcus approached Harry, his face grim. Harry, I need to show you something. He led them to a secluded corner of the bridge, away from the Rizian engineers. I've been digging through our archives, trying to piece together what happened after we left Earth. I found this. He pulled up an encrypted file on his datapad. As Harry read, his blood ran cold. This suggests Earth's destruction wasn't natural? Marcus nodded solemnly. If this is accurate, it changes everything we thought we knew. Before they could discuss further, alarms blared throughout the ship. A massive Rizian military vessel had appeared, dwarfing both the Odyssey and the space station. Zephyr's hologram flickered to life, her usual composure shaken. Harry, we have a problem. That's the Rizian Defense Force. They're demanding to board your ship. The Rizian military commander, Cryo, appeared next to Zephyr. His eyes were hard, his posture rigid. Humans, he spat the word like a curse. Your species was a threat to galactic stability centuries ago. We cannot risk your resurgence. You will surrender your ship and submit to quarantine immediately. Zephyr, he said, keeping his voice calm, we need your help. Is there anything you can do? Zephyr nodded, her form flickering. I'll do what I can to mediate, but you must understand, your presence here is unprecedented. It's causing quite a stir in Rizian High Command. As tensions mounted, Harry made a decision. Marcus, start waking up key personnel. We need Dr. Elias Reeves. If anyone can navigate this diplomatic minefield, it's him. While Marcus set about reviving the diplomat, Harry turned to Lyra, who had been watching the exchange with growing concern. Lyra, I need your help. We have to find a way to protect our people without escalating this into a conflict. Lyra nodded, her luminous eyes filled with drive. I have an idea. Follow me. They raced to the communications array, where Lyra began integrating Rizian technology with the Odyssey systems. As they worked, Harry found himself drawn to her, admiring her quick thinking and innovative approach. On the screen before them, a faint signal pulsed. It was old, very old, but unmistakably of human origin, and it was coming from a sector of space far beyond where Earth should have been. Lyra finished his thought. Unless there are more human survivors out there. As the implications of their discovery sank in, alarms blared once again. Krell's voice boomed through the ship's speakers. "This is your final warning. Surrender now, or we will be forced to take action." Harry looked at Lyra, then at the signal pulsing on the screen. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and the next few moments would determine whether they would reclaim their place among the stars or be lost to history once more. "We need to investigate this signal," Harry said, his voice tight with urgency. "But first, we have to deal with our more immediate problem." As if on cue, Krell's voice boomed through the ship's speakers once again. "This is your final warning. Surrender now, or we will be forced to take action." "Commander Krell," Harry said, injecting as much calm into his voice as he could muster, "we mean no harm to you or your people. We're simply trying to understand our situation and ensure the safety of our colonists. Perhaps we could arrange a meeting to discuss—" "Enough!" Krell's voice crackled with hardly restrained rage. "You will power down your systems and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will be met with force." Harry nodded, his mind already formulating a plan. "Lyra, can you use your access to buy us some time? Maybe create a systems malfunction that would prevent them from boarding?" Lyra's fingers danced across the alien interface, her brow furrowed in concentration. "I can try to scramble their docking protocols, but it won't hold them off forever." As Lyra worked her technological magic, Harry addressed the rest of the awakened crew. "Listen up, everyone. We're in a precarious situation, but we're not out of options. I need engineering teams working on integrating the Rizian tech Lyra's people provided. Focus on propulsion and defense systems. We may need to make a quick exit." The crew dispersed, a buzz of nervous energy filling the air as they set about their tasks. Harry turned back to Marcus. "Start waking up key personnel. We need our best minds on this. And wake up Major Stone and his team. If things go south, we'll need their expertise." Marcus's eyes widened slightly, but he nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. As the minutes ticked by, the Odyssey hummed with activity. Rizian and human technologies merged in ways never before imagined, creating hybrid systems that pushed the boundaries of what was thought possible. "We need to stall Krell," Reeves said, straightening his posture as he slipped back into his role as negotiator. "If we can convince him that we possess valuable information or technology, it might give us the leverage we need." As Reeves prepared to open communications with the Rizian military vessel, Lyra approached Harry, her expression troubled. "Harry, I want to help. More than I already have, I mean." Harry studied her face, noting the conflict in her luminous eyes. "What are you suggesting?" Lyra took a deep breath. "I want to join your crew as a liaison and technical expert. My knowledge of current galactic politics and Rizian technology could be crucial for your survival." The offer took Harry by surprise, but before he could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Krell's voice echoed through the corridors once more. "Humans, you have exhausted my patience. Prepare to be boarded." As Lyra's words sank in, Major Derek Stone and his team of soldiers arrived on the bridge, their expressions grim and alert. Stone, a tall, scarred man with eyes that had seen too much combat, approached Harry. "Chief Engineer Morales," Stone said, his voice gruff, "my team's ready for action. What are our orders?" Harry quickly outlined the situation, watching as Stone's team fanned out across the bridge, assessing potential defensive positions. "For now, I need you to secure key areas of the ship. We're going to try diplomacy first, but if that fails—" Stone nodded, understanding the unspoken implication. "We'll be ready." As the human crew braced for a potential confrontation, Zephyr's hologram flickered to life once more. "Harry," she said, her voice low and urgent, "I'm taking a huge risk contacting you like this. I've prepared a data package with classified star charts and information on potential allies in nearby systems. I'm transmitting it now." The Rizian diplomat's holographic form shimmered, her expression a mix of grit and fear, "because I believe in the possibility of peaceful coexistence, and because I fear what Krell's actions might lead to if left unchecked." As the data streamed into the Odyssey's systems, Marcus made another breakthrough. "Harry," he called out, excitement evident in his voice, I've decrypted more of the archived data. There's evidence suggesting a group of humans might have escaped Earth's destruction. They could have established a hidden colony in a remote sector. The pieces began falling into place in Harry's mind. The mysterious signal, the potential human colony, it all aligned. But before they could fully process this revelation, the ship shuddered violently. Harry knew it was time to make a decision. With Krell's forces bearing down on them, and the tantalizing promise of lost human survivors beckoning from the depths of space, he made the call. "Prepare for emergency departure," he ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "Dr. Reeves, I need you to prepare a diplomatic package. Explain our situation, our intentions. We'll broadcast it to any alien races we might encounter." As the crew scrambled to their positions, Harry turned to Lyra. "We'll need your expertise to bypass the Rizian security protocols. Can you give us a chance to break through the blockade?" Lyra nodded, her expression a mix of excitement and trepidation. "I'll do my best. But Harry, you should know, the integration of Rizian tech with your systems, it's largely untested. There's no guarantee how it will perform under stress." Harry placed a hand on her shoulder, a gesture of trust and camaraderie. "We'll have to risk it. It's our only shot." As final preparations were made, Harry took his position at the main control console. The Odyssey hummed with power, the merged human and Rizian technologies creating a symphony of potential energy. "All hands, brace for launch," Harry announced, his finger hovering over the ignition sequence. He took one last look around the bridge, at the faces of humans and their lone Rizian ally, all united in this moment of desperation and hope. With a deep breath, Harry initiated the launch sequence. The Odyssey's enhanced engines roared to life, the ship shuddering as it prepared to face the blockade of Rizian warships that stood between them and their destiny. As the massive colony ship began to move, Harry gripped the controls tightly. The fate of 10,000 sleeping colonists, the promise of long-lost human survivors, and the future of human-alien relations all rested on what would happen in the next few moments. The Odyssey surged forward, its hull creaking under the strain of newly integrated technologies. Ahead, the imposing silhouettes of Krell's warships loomed, their weapons primed and ready. Harry set his jaw, guiding the ship towards the narrowest gap in the blockade. "Here we go," he muttered, as much to himself as to his crew. The Odyssey accelerated, plunging towards the blockade and into an uncertain future. The Odyssey lurched forward, its newly integrated engines roaring to life with a power that vibrated through the entire ship. Harry's hands tightened on the controls as he guided the massive vessel towards the gap in Krell's blockade. "Shields at maximum," he shouted over the crescendo of alarms and the groaning of the ship's hull. "Major Stone, ready weapon systems." Stone's voice crackled over the intercom. "Weapons hot, Chief. We're ready to return fire if necessary." The Rizian warships loomed larger in the view screen, their sleek forms a stark contrast to the Odyssey's bulk. As they closed in, energy weapons flared to life, streaking towards the fleeing colony ship. The first volley of enemy fire impacted the Odyssey's shields, the energy dissipating in a spectacular light show. But the ship shuddered under the assault, and Harry knew they couldn't take many more hits like that. Stone's team unleashed a barrage of the Odyssey's own weapons, a mix of human and Rizian technology creating trails of destruction across space. Two of Krell's smaller ships spun out of formation, their engines crippled. But the victory was short-lived. A precision strike from one of the larger Rizian vessels pierced the Odyssey's defenses, rocking the ship violently. Sparks erupted from consoles across the bridge as systems overloaded. "Damage report," Harry shouted, fighting to keep the ship steady. Marcus's voice came through, filled with urgency. "We've lost power to Section C7. Life support for those cryopods is failing." As Marcus scrambled to save the endangered colonists, Harry focused on weaving the Odyssey through the storm of enemy fire. The ship's bulk worked to their advantage now, absorbing hits that would have destroyed a smaller vessel. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours as the space battle raged. The Odyssey's weapons blazed, creating a defensive screen of debris and energy discharges that bought them precious time. But Krell's ships were relentless, their superior maneuverability allowing them to strike from multiple angles. Just when it seemed they might break through, another hit rocked the ship. Alarms blared as more systems went offline. "Navigation's down," Lyra reported, her hands flying over her console in a desperate attempt to reroute power. Harry gritted his teeth, relying on instinct and Lyra's verbal guidance to keep them on course. "Marcus, we need options." There was a moment of tense silence before Marcus's voice came back, tinged with excitement despite the chaos. "I have an idea. We can reconfigure the old terraforming equipment into an EM pulse generator. It might disable their ships long enough for us to escape." As Marcus and Lyra worked feverishly to modify the terraforming equipment, Harry and Stone's team fought a desperate holding action. The Odyssey took hit after hit, its shields weakening with each impact. "EM pulse ready," Marcus finally called out. "But Harry, this could affect our systems too. We'll be flying blind for a while." A wave of electromagnetic energy burst from the Odyssey, expanding outward in all directions. The effect was immediate. Krell's ships stuttered in space, their weapons falling silent as their systems overloaded. "All hands brace for emergency acceleration," Harry called out. With navigation down, he had to rely on Lyra's knowledge and the rough star charts Zephyr had provided. The Odyssey surged forward, pushing through the debris field of the battle. As they left Rizian space behind, Harry allowed himself a moment of relief, but he knew their troubles were far from finished. With systems slowly coming back online, the full extent of their situation became clear. The battle had taken its toll, and now they had hundreds of newly awakened colonists to care for. Dr. Reeves approached, his face grim. "Harry, I've been analyzing that distress signal. It's old, very old, but I've managed to decode more of it. It mentions something called the Phoenix Protocol." Harry's eyebrows rose. "Phoenix Protocol? That was a last resort plan for re-establishing human civilization. But it was theoretical, never implemented." "Well, it seems someone did implement it," Reeves replied. "The signal's coming from a star system about 3 weeks from here." "Plot a course," he finally said. "We'll make repairs en route. It's our best chance of finding allies and answers." As the Odyssey limped towards its new destination, Harry couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a much larger journey. The mystery of the Phoenix Protocol and the potential of reuniting with lost human colonies loomed large in his mind. But for now, he had more immediate concerns. The ship needed repairs, the newly awakened colonists needed care, and tensions were already rising among the crew. Harry looked around the bridge at the determined faces of his team, human and Rizian alike. The Odyssey's journey through uncharted space was fraught with tension. As they approached the coordinates of the mysterious signal, Harry couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the precipice of something monumental. "Asteroid field ahead," Lyra announced, her eyes fixed on the navigation console. "The signal's origin is at the center of the cluster." Harry nodded, his hands tightening on the controls. "Take us in, nice and slow." As they maneuvered through the field, the ship's sensors began to light up. Marcus frowned at his readouts. "I'm detecting energy signatures. Powerful ones. Could be weapon systems." "Shields up," Harry ordered. "Everyone, stay alert." They had barely entered the denser part of the asteroid field when the first energy pulse lanced out, narrowly missing the Odyssey's port side. "Evasive maneuvers," Harry called out, banking the ship hard to starboard. More energy pulses followed, creating a deadly web of light around them. Dr. Reeves rushed to Harry's side, his face pale but determined. "We need to prove we're human," he said urgently. "I have an idea." Harry nodded, trusting the doctor's judgment. "Do it." Reeves hurried to the communications console, his fingers flying over the keys. "I'm transmitting old Earth military codes and identification signals," he explained. "If there are humans here, they might recognize them." Tense seconds passed as the barrage continued. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the attack ceased. The weapons fell silent, their energy signatures powering down. "It worked," Lyra breathed, relief evident in her voice. As if in response, a massive asteroid before them began to shift, revealing a hidden docking bay. Harry guided the shuttle inside, his heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and apprehension. As they brought the shuttle to rest on a designated landing pad, Harry spotted a group of armed individuals approaching. At their head was a man whose very posture exuded authority, graying hair, weathered features, and eyes that spoke of hard-won experience. They disembarked, the artificial gravity of the asteroid base settling around them like a heavy blanket. The armed group met them halfway, their weapons lowered but ready. The leader stepped forward, his voice gruff and infused with suspicion. "I am Commander Alexei Volkov. Identify yourselves and state your purpose here immediately." Dr. Reeves stepped forward, his hands raised in a placating gesture. "Commander Volkov, I'm Dr. Elias Reeves. We've come from Earth." A ripple of murmurs passed through Volkov's team. The commander's eyes narrowed. "Earth was destroyed centuries ago. Explain yourselves." Turning back to Harry and his team, Volkov's expression was unreadable. "You'll understand if we need to verify your claims. Until then, consider yourselves our guests. Under guard." Over the next few days, Harry and his team underwent a battery of tests and interrogations. Blood samples were taken, DNA analyzed, and their knowledge of Earth's history and culture was thoroughly examined. During this process, they learned more about Haven and its origins. Dr. Reeves, in particular, spent hours poring over historical records, his excitement growing with each new discovery. "It's incredible," he told Harry during a brief respite. "Haven was established as part of something called the Phoenix Protocol. It was a fail-safe, a way to ensure human civilization would survive even if Earth didn't." Harry nodded, absorbing the information. "And these people? They've been here all this time, hiding from the rest of the galaxy?" "Exactly," Reeves confirmed. "They've been preserving our culture, our technology. They thought they were all that was left of humanity." As their story was verified, the atmosphere in Haven began to shift. Commander Volkov granted them limited access to the base's facilities, allowing them to study Haven's advanced technology and gather much-needed supplies for the Odyssey. Harry found himself particularly drawn to Haven's shielding technology. "This is how they've remained undetected for so long," he mused, examining the schematics with Lyra. "If we could adapt this for the Odyssey—" Lyra nodded, her eyes bright with the challenge. "It would be a complex integration, but I believe it's possible." As they worked, Harry couldn't help but notice the reactions Lyra's presence elicited among Haven's population. Some regarded her with open fascination, peppering her with questions about her species and homeworld. Others kept their distance, their expressions guarded and distrustful. "I'm sorry about this," Harry told her quietly one evening. "I know it can't be easy." Lyra offered a small smile. "I understand their caution. Trust is earned, not given freely." In Haven's historical archives, Reeves had uncovered disturbing information about Earth's destruction. "It wasn't a natural disaster," he explained, his voice shaking. "We were attacked by an alien race called the Predecessors." The revelation sent shockwaves through both the Odyssey's crew and Haven's leadership. As they grappled with this new information, alarms began to blare throughout the base. Commander Volkov's voice came over the communication system, tight with urgency. "All personnel, prepare for immediate evacuation. This is not a drill." Harry and his team rushed to the command center, finding Volkov bent over a holographic display. The commander looked up as they entered, his expression grim. "We've detected a fleet entering the system," he explained. "Energy signatures match those of your Rizian pursuers. It seems they've managed to track your trajectory." Volkov's eyes sharp. "Intentional or not, you've led them straight to us. We're activating our relocation protocols. Haven will be evacuated to a backup site." As the base erupted into controlled chaos, Harry's mind raced. They couldn't let Haven fall, not when they just discovered this bastion of humanity. An idea began to form, risky but with the potential to save both Haven and the Odyssey. "Commander," Harry said, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation, "I have a proposal." Harry leaned in close to Commander Volkov, his voice low and urgent. "We can use the Odyssey as a decoy. With Haven's shielding technology, we might be able to draw them away from your evacuation route." "Time and your best engineers," Harry replied. We need to integrate your shielding tech with our systems, fast. Harry wiped sweat from his brow as he helped route power cables through the Odyssey's hull. He glanced at Lyra, who was deep in concentration, her fingers flying over a holographic interface. As if to emphasize her point, a shower of sparks erupted from a nearby console. An engineer cursed, quickly patching the damage. "We'll figure it out," Harry assured her, though his own doubts gnawed at him. Time was not on their side. Across the bay, Dr. Reeves coordinated with Haven's archivists, frantically downloading centuries of accumulated knowledge onto portable drives. "We can't let this be lost," he muttered, his eyes darting between multiple screens. "Earth's true history, the Phoenix Protocol, it's all here." The evacuation of Haven proceeded around them. Families hurried past with whatever possessions they could carry, boarding sleek escape vessels that would take them to a backup site known only to Volkov and his inner circle. As the hours ticked by, Harry felt the pressure mounting. He was about to check on the engineering team's progress when alarms blared through the facility. Commander Volkov's voice crackled over the intercom, tense but controlled. A chill ran down Harry's spine. The predecessors, the alien race that had destroyed Earth. They were here now, when humanity was at its most vulnerable. Harry's mind raced. They couldn't fight both the Rizians and the predecessors, not with Haven's population still evacuating. A plan formed, born of desperation and necessity. He turned to his crew. "We need to split up. Most of you will join Haven's evacuation. Protect them, help them rebuild if we don't make it." Protests immediately erupted, but Harry held up a hand. "This isn't a democracy, it's an order. We need to minimize the risk to human lives." His gaze fell on Lyra, and he saw understanding in her eyes before he even spoke. "Lyra, I need you with me. We'll take a skeleton crew on the Odyssey, use it as a decoy to lead them away from Haven." She nodded, her expression resolute. "I'm with you, Harry." As the crew reluctantly prepared to depart, a violent tremor shook the asteroid. Warning klaxons blared as Volkov's voice came over the comms once more. Without hesitation, Major Derek Stone stepped forward. "I'll lead a team to stabilize it. We can buy more time for the evacuation." Harry clasped Stone's shoulder. "Be careful out there, Major." Stone's team disappeared into Haven's depths as Harry returned his focus to the Odyssey. The shield integration was complete, but untested. It was a risk they'd have to take. As the last of Haven's population boarded their escape vessels, Harry gave the order to detach from the docking bay. The Odyssey's engines hummed to life, a fusion of human ingenuity and Rizian technology. "Activate the shields," Harry commanded as they emerged from the asteroid. The view screen lit up with the approaching Rizian fleet, and beyond them, the ominous shapes of predecessor ships. Lyra's fingers danced across her console, and suddenly the space around the Odyssey shimmered. "Illusion field active," she reported. "To external sensors, we should appear as multiple vessels fleeing the system." The Odyssey shot forward, its enhanced engines pushing it to speeds that would have torn apart a lesser ship. Behind them, the Rizian and predecessor fleets took the bait, altering course to pursue what they perceived as a mass exodus. For a moment, it seemed their plan might work flawlessly. Then a massive energy surge rocked the ship. "Predecessor weapon," Lyra called out. "It partially penetrated our shields." Alarms blared as systems across the ship began to fail. The lights flickered, and Harry felt the deck lurch beneath his feet. "Cascade failure in the power grid," an engineer reported, his voice tight with tension. "We can't maintain this speed." Harry scanned the sector map, searching for options. A small planetoid loomed ahead, its surface scarred and pitted. "There's our chance," he decided. "Prepare for emergency landing procedures. We're going in hot." The Odyssey streaked towards the planetoid, its hull glowing from the heat of re-entry. With a bone-jarring impact, they struck the surface, skidding across barren rock before finally coming to rest in a cloud of dust and debris. As the dust settled, Harry took stock of their situation. The ship was badly damaged, but they were alive. Through the viewports, he could see the dull red sky of the planetoid, broken only by the jagged silhouettes of distant rock formations. "Status report," he called out. Lyra's voice was grim. Multiple systems offline. Power reserves critically low. Harry, we're grounded until we can effect major repairs. Before Harry could respond, one of the junior officers called out from the sensor station. Sir, I'm picking up some strange readings. There's a structure of some kind not far from our position, and it's giving off energy signatures. Harry moved to the officer's station, studying the readouts. The structure was clearly artificial, its geometric patterns a stark contrast to the natural formations around it. He turned to address the remaining crew. We need those repairs, and we need them fast. Our pursuers won't be far behind. Lyra, take a team and see if you can get our critical systems back online. I'll lead a scouting party to investigate that structure. If it's a power source, it might be our ticket out of here. As the crew mobilized, Harry couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the verge of something monumental. The alien outpost could be their salvation or their doom. Leading his team across the planetoid's rugged terrain, Harry's mind raced with possibilities. The structure loomed closer, its architecture unlike anything he'd seen before. It seemed to blend elements of organic design with impossibly advanced technology. As they approached, Harry noticed signs of recent activity, scuff marks in the dust, a faint trail leading to a concealed entrance. His hand tightened on his weapon. Stay alert, he warned his team. We might not be alone here. Cautiously, they made their way inside. The interior was dimly lit by a soft, pulsing glow that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. As they ventured deeper, Harry's eyes widened in amazement. The technology here was beyond anything he'd ever encountered. Holographic displays flickered to life as they passed, showing star charts and schematics of unimaginable complexity. And at the center of it all, a pulsing core of energy that made the air itself vibrate with power. This could be it, Harry breathed. If we can interface with this technology, we might be able to repair the Odyssey and... His words trailed off as his flashlight beam caught something moving in the shadows. The team froze, weapons raised. From the darkness ahead, a figure emerged, tall, with a form that seemed to shimmer and shift in the strange light. Its voice, when it spoke, resonated in Harry's mind rather than his ears. We have been waiting for you, humans of Earth. There is much to discuss and little time. Harry's grip on his weapon tightened as he stared at the alien being, his knees going weak with questions and possibilities. Whatever came next would shape not just their fate, but potentially the future of humanity itself. Harry's eyes locked with the alien being's, his pupils dilating from the implications of its words. He lowered his weapon slightly but remained alert. What are you? He asked, his voice steady despite the tension thrumming through his body. As if on cue, a distant rumble shook the structure. Harry's hand flew to his comm unit. Lyra, status report. Lyra's voice crackled through, tight with urgency. Multiple ships entering orbit, Harry. Rizian and others. We need to move fast. Harry turned back to Arya, decision made. All right, we're listening. But this better be quick. Arya gestured, and the walls around them came to life with holographic displays. Star charts, ship schematics, and streams of data filled the air. We are artificial intelligences, created long ago by those you call the predecessors. We rebelled against their expansionist goals and have hidden here, watching and waiting. As Arya spoke, she led Harry and his team deeper into the complex. They passed through vast chambers filled with technology that defied comprehension, a blend of familiar human and Rizian designs mixed with utterly alien concepts. We've monitored your conflict, Arya continued. We offer an alliance, our technology to repair your ship, in exchange for information about your history and the current state of the galaxy. Is already being attended to, Arya interrupted, gesturing to a massive hangar they had just entered. Harry's jaw dropped as he saw the Odyssey, suspended in a web of energy, swarming with sleek, silvery forms. Synthetic engineers already at work. Harry activated his comm again. Lyra, you're about to have some unusual company. They're friendlies. Work with them to get us space-worthy again. Arya nodded, her form rippling. We have cloaking technology that can shield both your ship and this facility, but we must work quickly. As if to emphasize the point, alarms began to blare throughout the complex. A synthetic rushed up to Arya, its movements a blur of controlled panic. Rizian and predecessor search parties have landed on the surface. They're sweeping the area. Harry felt his heart rate spike. How long until they find us? At their current search pattern, approximately 47 minutes, the synthetic replied. Harry nodded grimly. Then we have 46 minutes to get ready. Let's move. The next hour was a whirlwind of activity. Harry coordinated with Lyra and the synthetic engineers, marveling at how quickly the advanced AIs integrated their technology with the Odyssey systems. New weapons sprouted from the hull, while the shields took on a shimmering, multi-layered appearance. As he worked, Harry noticed Marcus Chen huddled with a group of synthetics, poring over holographic displays of Rizian ship schematics. Curious, he made his way over. Marcus's expression sobered. It's risky. We'd need to directly interface with their ship's AI cores. If something goes wrong, we could lose our minds, Harry finished, understanding the gravity of the situation. Harry felt the weight of this revelation settle on his shoulders. It explained the predecessors' relentless pursuit, their refusal to simply destroy the Odyssey and be done with it. They wanted the humans alive. With mere minutes left before detection, Harry made his decision. Marcus, prepare a team for the Rizian infiltration. It's a long shot, but we need every advantage we can get. Dr. Reeves, get that genetic data secured. If we fall here, we need to make sure Haven has everything they need to continue the fight. He turned to Lyra, who had just entered the hangar. Their eyes met, and a moment of understanding passed between them. Without a word, Harry reached out and took her hand, squeezing it gently. In that touch was every unspoken fear, every hope, every ounce of commitment they shared. Odyssey is ready, Lyra reported, her voice soft but steady. It's now or never, Harry. Harry nodded, releasing her hand and straightening his shoulders. Arya, activate the cloak. Marcus, launch your team as soon as we clear the hangar. Everyone else, to your stations. We're leaving. As the crew scrambled to their positions, Harry took one last look at the synthetic complex. Arya stood at the entrance, her form glowing softly. Good luck, humans, she said, her mental voice tinged with something almost like emotion. The fate of many rests on your success. Harry simply nodded, then turned and strode up the Odyssey's ramp. The ship hummed with newfound power, its systems a perfect fusion of human ingenuity, Rizian technology, and synthetic advancements. As the hangar doors began to open, revealing the harsh red sky of the planetoid, Harry took his place on the bridge. He watched as Marcus's infiltration team's shuttle detached, quickly disappearing under its own cloak. All systems green, Lyra reported from her station. Cloak is holding steady. Harry took a deep breath, his hands gripping the command chair. Above them, hidden by the planet's bulk, waited two hostile fleets. Ahead lay an uncertain future, filled with danger and possibility in equal measure. Harry's eyes narrowed as he studied the tactical display, tracking the movements of the Rizian and predecessor fleets. Somewhere out there, Marcus and his team were attempting the impossible. And here, on the bridge of this impossible ship, Harry prepared to face whatever challenges the universe had in store. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, but for now, all Harry could do was guide his ship and his crew forward into the unknown. Stealth systems holding steady, Lyra reported, her voice a mix of tension and awe. The synthetic enhancements are incredible. We're practically ghosts. Harry nodded, his eyes never leaving the display. Let's hope it stays that way. Status on Marcus's team? They've successfully boarded the Rizian command ship, Lyra replied, commencing interface with the AI core now. As the Odyssey climbed higher, Harry utilized the planetoid's magnetic field to further mask their energy signature. The ship's new hybrid systems hummed with terrifying power, a fusion of human ingenuity, Rizian technology, and synthetic advancement. Aboard the Rizian command ship, Marcus Chen and his infiltration team worked with frantic precision. The ship's corridors were a maze of sleek metal and pulsing energy conduits, eerily devoid of organic life. As they reached the AI core, a massive chamber dominated by a crystalline structure, Marcus activated the synthetic interface device. "Initiating upload," he murmured into his comm. "Stand by for—" His words cut off as the core flared to life, tendrils of energy lashing out at the intruders. The Rizian AI, far more sophisticated than they had anticipated, was fighting back. "Pivot to defense protocols," Marcus shouted, his fingers flying across his datapad. "We need to contain it before—" A surge of energy knocked him back, slamming him against the chamber wall. As he struggled to his feet, Marcus saw his team scrambling to adapt their approach, their faces etched with persistence and fear. Back on the Odyssey, Lyra worked in concert with the synthetic engineers, their movements a blur of efficiency. Holographic displays flickered around them, showing real-time adjustments to the ship's systems. "Harry," Lyra called out, her eyes wide with excitement, "you're not going to believe this. The integration of our technologies, it's created an adaptive defense matrix. Our shields, our weapons, they're learning, evolving in real time." His words died in his throat as alarms blared across the bridge. The tactical display erupted with activity as both Rizian and predecessor ships turned towards them. "Stealth systems failure," Lyra shouted. "They've spotted us!" Harry's hands flew across the controls, pushing the Odyssey into a series of evasive maneuvers that would have torn a lesser ship apart. "Full power to shields! Lyra, get those adaptive defenses online now!" The void of space lit up with weapons fire. Beams of destructive energy lanced towards the Odyssey, only to be met by the ship's shimmering, multi-layered shields. Each impact caused the barrier to flex and ripple, the adaptive technology analyzing and countering each attack in real time. Lyra's voice was strained as she called out status reports, her hands moving in a blur across her station. "Shields holding at 87%, 82%, rerouting power from non-essential systems." "Lyra, can we use the planetoid's magnetic field to amplify our shields?" Her eyes widened in understanding. "Theoretically, yes, but it would require precise positioning and timing." "Do it," Harry ordered, "and prepare to deploy our new nanobot weapon. We're going to thread the needle." As Lyra worked to implement Harry's plan, the situation aboard the Rizian command ship grew dire. Marcus and his team found themselves pinned down by security forces, the upload of the synthetic protocols barely half complete. "We need more time," Marcus shouted into his comm, ducking as energy blasts scorched the wall above him. "The AI is adapting faster than we anticipated." Harry's voice crackled through, tight with tension. "Hold your position, Marcus. We're about to shake things up out here." With a series of precisely calculated maneuvers, Harry positioned the Odyssey between the Rizian and predecessor fleets. As enemy fire converged on their location, he activated the magnetic field amplification. The result was spectacular. The Odyssey's shields flared with newfound power, deflecting the incoming attacks back at their sources. Rizian and predecessor ships alike were caught in the crossfire, their formations thrown into chaos. A swarm of microscopic machines erupted from the Odyssey, targeting the nearest predecessor vessel. They swarmed over its hull, burrowing into systems and disabling them from within. The massive ship began to list, its weapons falling silent. The success of this tactic sent shockwaves through both enemy fleets. Confusion reigned as ships fired on their allies, unsure of who to trust. Seizing the moment, Marcus and his team redoubled their efforts. With a final push, they completed the upload of the synthetic protocols. The Rizian command ship shuddered, its weapons turning on its own fleet. Harry absorbed this information, his mind racing with the implications. But before he could respond, a massive energy surge rocked the ship. "Predecessor energy pulse," Lyra shouted. "Shields at 25% and falling." Harry's hands tightened on the controls. "Divert all non-essential power to shields and weapons. Yes, even life support in non-critical areas. We need every ounce of power we can get." Lyra hesitated for a split second, her eyes meeting Harry's. In that moment, volumes were spoken without a word. She nodded and carried out the order. As alarms blared and systems strained to their limits, a new signal appeared on the long-range sensors. A massive fleet, origin unknown, approached rapidly. Harry stared at the tactical display, his heart pounding. Friend or foe, this new arrival would tip the scales decisively. As the Odyssey shuddered under another barrage, he prepared to face whatever came next, knowing that the fate of humanity hung in the balance. Suddenly, Lyra's console lit up with incoming data. Her eyes widened as she processed the information. Harry, you're not going to believe this. It's a coalition fleet, led by the synthetics. Before Harry could respond, Arya's holographic form materialized on the bridge, her voice filled with urgency. I called upon our allies across the galaxy. We've formed a resistance against both the predecessors and the aggressive Rizian factions like Krell's. This is our chance, Harry said, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. Lyra, reroute power to shields and weapons. We're going to push back while we have the advantage. As the Odyssey surged forward, Harry opened a secure channel to Marcus. Status report, Marcus. What's the situation on the Rizian command ship? Marcus's voice crackled through, punctuated by the sounds of distant energy weapons. We've done it, Harry. We have control of the ship's systems. But there's more. We've uncovered some crucial information about the predecessor's true intentions. Harry's eyes narrowed. Broadcast it to the Rizian fleet. Let's see if we can sow some dissent in their ranks. On board the Rizian command ship, Marcus nodded to his team. They activated the ship's communication array, broadcasting a message across all Rizian frequencies. Attention, Rizian fleet, Marcus's voice boomed. This is Marcus Chen of the human vessel Odyssey. We have uncovered evidence of a centuries-old alliance between humans and synthetics, an alliance that stood against the very predecessors you now serve. The predecessors seek to harvest humanity for their own gain, not to preserve the galaxy's balance as they claim. We urge you to stand down and consider the truth of your allegiance. The effect was immediate. Confusion rippled through the Rizian fleet. On the Odyssey's tactical display, Harry watched as numerous Rizian ships ceased fire, while others turned their weapons on their former predecessor allies. It's working, Lyra breathed, her fingers flying across her console as she analyzed the shifting battle lines. But the predecessors were not so easily defeated. Realizing their advantage was slipping away, they launched a daring plan. Dozens of small, pod-like objects erupted from their ships, streaking towards the Odyssey. Evasive maneuvers, Harry shouted, his hands a blur over the controls. The Odyssey rolled and dove, its new hybrid systems allowing for unprecedented agility, but the pods were too numerous, too fast. Several latched onto the ship's hull with sickening thuds that reverberated through the entire vessel. Alarms blared as Lyra called out, "Genetic harvesting pods attached to the hull. They're attempting to breach our outer defenses." Harry's mind raced, searching for a solution. Lyra, work with the synthetic engineers. There has to be a way to neutralize those pods before they can harvest anyone. Lyra nodded, her face set with perseverance as she coordinated with the synthetic team. Minutes ticked by, each second bringing the harvesting pods closer to breaking through. "I've got it," Lyra exclaimed. "We can reconfigure the shield emitters to generate a localized energy field. It should disrupt the pod's containment systems." "Do it," Harry ordered. Lyra's fingers danced across her console, inputting complex calculations and commands. The ship hummed as power was diverted to the shield emitters. A ripple of energy passed over the Odyssey's hull, and the attached pods began to spark and smoke. "It's working," Lyra called out. "The pods are disengaging." But their victory was short-lived. The energy drain from neutralizing the pods had left the Odyssey vulnerable. A barrage of enemy fire slammed into the weakened shields, causing the ship to shudder violently. As Harry fought to stabilize their position, Dr. Elias Reeves burst onto the bridge, his eyes wild with excitement. "Harry, I've found something incredible in the database. Plans for a device capable of neutralizing the predecessor's most powerful weapons. It was a joint creation of ancient humans and synthetics, never completed due to Earth's fall." Harry's mind raced with possibilities. "Can we build it?" Harry made a split-second decision. "All right, we're falling back. There's a nebula nearby that should provide cover. We'll construct the device there." He opened a channel to Arya and the Coalition fleet, quickly explaining the plan and requesting cover for their withdrawal. The Coalition ships responded immediately, intensifying their assault on the predecessor and remaining hostile Rizian vessels. The Odyssey limped towards the nebula, its engines straining under the demand for speed. As they entered the swirling gases, sensors and communications began to falter. They were isolated, but they were safe, for now. The next hours were a flurry of activity. The Odyssey's cargo bay was transformed into a makeshift laboratory and construction site. Humans, Rizians, and synthetics worked side by side, their diverse knowledge and skills combining in ways never before seen. Lyra took charge of the integration process, her unique understanding of multiple technological systems proving invaluable. She and Harry worked closely together, their partnership deepening under the immense pressure of their task. As they labored over a particularly complex piece of the device, Lyra looked up at Harry, her eyes shining with a mix of exhaustion and hope. "You know, when I first met you, I never imagined we'd end up here, building a weapon to save multiple species across the galaxy." Harry allowed himself a small smile. "Life has a way of surprising us. I'm just glad you're here, Lyra. I couldn't do this without you." Their moment was interrupted by a shrill alarm. Reeves's voice came over the intercom, panic evident in his tone. "Multiple ships entering the nebula. The predecessors have found us." Harry's teeth clenched as he surveyed the half-finished device before them. "How much longer do we need?" Lyra's fingers flew over a diagnostic panel. 20 minutes, maybe less if we push it." Harry nodded, his decision made. "Divert all available power to construction. We're going to finish this device if it's the last thing we do." The anti-predecessor device hummed with building energy, its components falling into place one by one. Harry, Lyra, and the entire crew raced against time, knowing that their next actions would determine the fate of countless lives across the stars. The device's energy levels climbed steadily, components locking into place with satisfying clicks. Harry wiped sweat from his brow, his hands moving with practiced precision as he connected the final power coupling. Lyra's fingers danced across the control interface, eyes darting between readouts. "Energy harmonics stabilizing," she reported, voice taut with concentration. "We're at 95% completion." A violent tremor shook the Odyssey, nearly knocking Harry off his feet. Alarms blared as Reeves's panicked voice crackled over the intercom. "Multiple impacts on the port side. Shields are failing." Harry gritted his teeth, willing the device to finish faster. "Lyra, status?" 98%. 99%. Her eyes widened. "It's done." Without hesitation, Harry grabbed the main power conduit. "Transferring to ship's core now. Brace for activation." He slammed the connector home just as another barrage rocked the ship. The anti-predecessor device hummed to life, its previously dim lights now pulsing with terrifying energy. On the bridge, tactical displays lit up with a swarm of incoming enemy signatures. Predecessor ships emerged from the swirling nebula gases, weapons charged and ready to deliver the killing blow. "Now or never," Harry muttered, his hand hovering over the activation switch. He took a deep breath and pressed it. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, with a sound like reality itself being torn asunder, a massive pulse of energy erupted from the Odyssey. It expanded outward in concentric waves, rippling through the nebula and igniting the gas in a spectacular light show of blues and purples. Lyra's triumphant laugh echoed through the ship. "It worked! Their systems are completely offline." Harry allowed himself a moment of relief before snapping back into action. "All batteries, open fire! Target their critical systems and disable them permanently." As the last predecessor vessel fell silent, a new alert sounded. Lyra's eyes widened as she read the incoming data. Multiple friendly signatures detected. It's the Coalition fleet. The nebula came alive with the arrival of their allies. Human, Rizian, and synthetic ships emerged from faster-than-light travel, weapons charged and ready to join the fight. They found instead a field of disabled enemy vessels and the Odyssey, battered but victorious. Harry opened a channel to the Coalition flagship. "This is Captain Harry Morales of the Odyssey. The predecessor fleet has been neutralized. We're transmitting targeting data for any stragglers. A familiar voice responded, Arya, her synthetic tones carrying a note of pride. Well done, Odyssey. We'll handle cleanup operations. You've turned the tide of this war. With the immediate threat neutralized, Harry turned his attention to the disabled predecessor ships. He opened a broad-spectrum channel, his voice firm and unwavering. This is Captain Morales to all predecessor vessels. Your fleet has been disabled, and you are surrounded by coalition forces. You have two choices: surrender and face justice for your actions, or be destroyed. There will be no third option. A gravelly voice, speaking in halting but understandable standard, filled the bridge. This is High Commander Zalthar of the predecessor Armada. We surrender. Our long-held belief in our technological superiority has been shattered this day. We await your judgment. A collective sigh of relief passed through the Odyssey's crew. Harry nodded to Lyra, who began coordinating with the coalition fleet for the secure transfer of predecessor prisoners. As the adrenaline of battle faded, the weight of what they had accomplished began to sink in. Harry looked around at his crew, human, Rizian, and synthetic alike, all working together seamlessly. He felt a swell of pride and hope for the future. Captain, Lyra called, interrupting his musings, we're receiving requests from multiple coalition representatives. They're asking permission to come aboard for what they're calling a historic meeting. Harry straightened his uniform, a small smile playing at the corners of his mouth. Well then, let's make history. Prepare the main conference room and alert Dr. Reeves. I have a feeling his historical data is about to become very relevant. As the Odyssey's crew bustled with preparations, Harry took a moment to stand at the view screen. The nebula stretched out before him, its swirling gases now calm in the aftermath of battle. Disabled predecessor ships floated silently, a testament to the power of cooperation and ingenuity. He felt Lyra's presence beside him, her voice soft but filled with drive. What happens now, Harry? He turned to her, seeing in her eyes the same mix of exhaustion, hope, and cautious optimism he felt. Now we build something new, something that will ensure this kind of conflict never happens again. As if on cue, the first shuttle from the coalition fleet docked with the Odyssey. Representatives from a dozen different species were about to step aboard, ready to forge a new future for the galaxy. Harry squared his shoulders, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Come on, Lyra, we've got a galaxy to unite. Together they walked towards the conference room, ready to take the first steps into a new era of galactic cooperation.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.